What do I want this entire next year to be driven by? Health, finances, romantic relationship, career and work, family, fun, friends, spirituality. Happy freaking New Year. This week's episode is going to be a bit of a guided practice to help get yourself set up and prepped for the new year. What is the magic that you want to attract in the new year? What did you think this year would be like versus how it actually unfolded? The key to actually creating change or growth in the new year is becoming super... What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast and happy freaking New Year. I'm so excited to be kicking off another year with you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited that you're here and also just really looking forward to everything that we have coming for the podcast this year. I have so many big dreams and visions and goals for how we're going to evolve and improve this show this year. Speaking of what we're going to talk about today when it comes to setting our dreams and themes and manifestations for the new year, a lot of things that came up for me had to do with the podcast. So I first just want to say a big thank you to everyone who tunes in each week and listens. I love you all. Thank you for being here and creating this community. And I'm so excited to work even harder on the podcast this year and pour more into it and just make it an even more epic show for you every single week. So welcome in. Happy New Year. This week's episode is going to be a bit of a guided practice. So I'm going to walk you through a whole list of different things that you can do to help get yourself set up and prepped for the new year energetically when it comes to your core values, your vision, your theme for the year, making sure that you feel complete and reflected upon the year that just passed. We're going to talk about our core four. We're going to talk about values. We're going to talk about your word or theme of the year. We're going to do some manifestation and visualization techniques. There's so much that I'm excited to unpack inside of this episode. And we're going to go through like a step by step. I'm going to walk you through each part. I'm going to give you these prompts. So this is really an episode where, yes, you can listen to this while you're walking or driving. But if you want to get the most out of it, I would say have your notes app ready or something that you want to write with, or be ready to pause here and there to jot down some of these questions or prompts. And also, you don't have to do everything that we talk about in this episode. You can just kind of pick and choose little activities that pique your interest or that feel really good to you and do those. So I'm excited to walk you through this entire process. But before we dive in, I wanted to start by actually reading something that I wrote years and years ago as part of my New Year New Magic ebook, which is always available. And now is a great time of year, obviously, to grab something like this. It's such an incredible resource. It's basically an entire 87-page guide to manifesting with ease, reflecting, releasing, learning to attract your deepest desires. And it includes a lot of my best lessons and tips and methodologies for really changing your life. There's so many worksheets inside of this ebook as well on things like self-awareness, manifestation, habits, gratitude, letting go, and so much more. And of course, there's real stories and photos from the archives woven in from my real life. So if it's something that you're interested in, if you want to grab an actual physical resource that you can read through that has so many other activities and guidelines and worksheets that are not what we're going to talk about today, two separate things. The activities that we're going to do in today's episode are not what's included in the ebook. So that's completely separate. So if you want even more, if you get to the end of this episode and you're like, you know what, I really am loving this New Year vibe, like I just want to go even deeper, then you might want to grab the ebook. It's $22. It's super cheap. It's always available, but you can grab it at the link in the show notes below. But I wanted to start this episode by just reading the little intro section all about New Year's, just to kind of set the energy and the tone for this episode. So here we go. I can vividly remember a time when the biggest thing to worry about come New Year's Eve was deciding which party to go to, getting someone to buy alcohol, and figuring out who you were going to kiss at midnight. Obviously, I'm talking about high school. And now that I think about it, it's almost as if I'm transported right back there, all of us girls in black or sequined bodycon dresses, chunky Guess pumps, red lips, and $5 bottles of champagne in our hands. One New Year's Eve in particular comes to mind. I remember sitting on my bedroom floor with 2 or 3 of my best friends, agonizing over the fact that the party we had all planned to go to, and by all of us, I mean our entire grade and the grade below us, had just fallen through. There was literally nowhere to go and nothing to do for New Year's Eve, and it felt like the end of the world. which screams high school. Seems so laughable now, but you know how it is. We were determined to save the night. We couldn't let the new year go uncelebrated, and we had to find a way to ring in 2011 with a bang. I think I'm getting these dates right. My friend Sarah's parents were going downtown to celebrate with their friends, and they were the rowdy type, so we figured that they'd end up staying out later than expected, if not all night. This was a giant assumption on our part, but we were desperate. We decided to throw a party at her house, telling her mom that we were just having a small group of friends over to hang out and watch the ball drop. Since everyone had been planning on this other party for weeks prior, people started coming out of the woodwork asking if they could come to our party because they had nowhere to go now. Word began to spread, and before we knew it, we were hosting the party of the year. Literally. We scrambled to organize rides, cups, alcohol, chasers, and food, and then packed up all of our stuff from my house and schlepped it over to Sarah's to get ready. We had little time to work with after waiting around for what felt like forever for her parents to finally leave the house. We put our makeup on, curled our hair, slipped into our tiny dresses, and ran around the house setting up in under 30 minutes, which must be some kind of record. This was obviously before contouring was a makeup trend. People started showing up, and before long, we filled the place. I'll never forget the moment when her mom called to check in because it was something straight out of a movie scene. The music was cranked, the boys were mid-beer pong game, 2 9-person teams were all playing flip cup down the side of the dining room table, and someone in the corner was chugging Keystone Light from a funnel when Sarah shouted for everyone to be quiet as her phone rang. The noise in the room immediately went from 100 to 1 as we listened quietly to her side of the phone conversation. "Yeah, Mom, we're fine. Okay, got it. Yep, I know there's chips. I put them out. Okay, thanks. Have fun with Dad. Love you too." Sarah looked up from the phone, threw both her arms in the air, and shouted, "We're good!" The music immediately started blasting again. A champagne bottle popped open, and someone yelled, "Shots!" from the other side of the house. Oh, what fun to be young and stupid. This is still one of my favorite New Year's memories to this day because it reminds me of a simpler time. Nowadays, we can get so caught up in the meaning of New Year's and start freaking out about our quarterly goals, where we're at career-wise, when we're going to find the one, if we should start considering Botox, what we want our bank account to look like, and most importantly, what to caption our not-so-candid Instagram pic of the night. New Year's is a funny time because no matter how many resolutions we've broken in the past, we still get this overwhelming sense of a fresh start year after year. It's like the world is giving us permission to scrap everything that went wrong in the past year and just start over again. We feel this sense of revival, a powerful excuse to create new goals and dreams and finally get our shit together. So it would be almost irresponsible to not take advantage of this natural boost of motivation and inspiration in order to cultivate impactful changes in your life. But the motivation and inspiration that builds with holiday spirit and twinkling lights tends to plummet fairly quickly after the year has begun. All the gyms and fitness centers in the city will fill up in January with loads of new members. But come February or March, the majority will have stopped coming again. The key to actually creating change or growth in the new year is becoming super intentional, taking the time to consider exactly what it is that you want and what you need to let go of in order to get there. If you throw together a last-minute resolution or pick a cliche weight loss goal or make a fluffy general aim to be happier, chances are you're not going to know how to go about it or have the willpower to stick to it for more than a few weeks. This is not what we want. I'm willing to bet that if you're reading this, it means you're ready to take the reins of your life and lead it somewhere meaningful. I'm guessing you're not down for another year of half-empty promises and abandoned goals. I'm guessing that you're open to getting raw and honest with yourself so that you can create space for where it is you want to go. I'm guessing that you're ready to become the co-creator of your own reality. Yes? Awesome. Let's dive in. So with that being said, where I want to start for today's practice is some end of year reflection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys some journaling prompts. So this is a good time to have your notes app ready or something to write with, and then feel free to just pause the episode after each one and kind of jot down the prompt. You can answer them now, or you can just use this time to gather all the information and write some things down, and then you can complete this practice later on your own. It's totally up to you how you want to do this, but we are going to start with some end of year reflection questions. The first one being, What were some of your favorite things that you did this year? So reflecting back on the year that's just gone, in case you haven't had time to really sit down with yourself and think about and process everything that happened this past year, the things that you've been through, that is what these end of year reflection prompts are really going to be great for. So we're going to start by thinking about what were some of those favorite things that you did this year. Look back on the year, think back to some of your favorite memories. And something that I like to do for this that really helps me is I'll scroll through my camera roll in my phone, because my camera roll is such a great it's such a great helper for me to like really remember all the things that I did and all the different seasons of my life over the past year and all the different things that happened and the places that I went. So if you're having trouble like remembering everything that happened this year, use your camera roll. I find that it really helps me. If you're someone who doesn't take a lot of photos, maybe not, but I feel like all of us these days have a pretty stacked camera roll. So you can kind of scroll back through and it will help jog your memory in terms of what were some of your favorite things that you did this year. The second prompt is, what were your biggest lessons? What were some of your favorite places or the best trips that you went on? Next, I want you to reflect on any major milestones. These can be both personal or professional. What were some of those major milestones that you hit in the past year? Then, what did you think this year would be like versus how it actually unfolded? So paint that picture of, think about a year ago as you were going into the new year. What were your hopes and dreams? What was your perception? How did you think this year was going to go? Versus now we're at the end. How did it actually unfold? Did it go exactly as planned? Was it like almost what you thought, but a little bit different? Was it totally, completely different than what you had thought or imagined? And what are your takeaways from this? Whether it was completely the same or completely different or somewhere in the middle, what are your takeaways from how the year actually unfolded as it compares to what you thought it might be like? What were the biggest changes or challenges that you faced this year? Who in your life were you super grateful for this year? Did you have any old or new connections that were particularly special or important for you during this year? Who in your life were you super grateful for this year? What were some of the key things that you learned about yourself this year? What areas did you really grow in? And lastly, what can you be proud of yourself for in this past year? What can you be proud of yourself for? Okay, so once you've just done some reflecting and journaling on the year that's just gone, the next thing that I like to do, the next step in this process, is called the Core 4. And I remember sharing a little bit about this last year on the podcast, but I'm going to bring it forward again and kind of walk you through how to do it in case it's something that you might like to implement as well. So this is something that one of my coaches shared with me, and I did this last year, and I found it to be really, really helpful. And I've since done it with some of my clients and some of my friends. And I'm also going to do it again this year because I just loved it. So I wanted to share it with you. So it's called Core 4. And the way that it works is you're going to write down these 8 categories of life. And then you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of those 8 categories. The 8 categories are as follows: health, finances, romantic relationship, career and work, family, fun, friends, and spirituality. Those are the 8 categories. You're going to write those down. And then for each category, you are going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. So based on this year that's just gone, based on this year that has just passed, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And this can kind of be like an average of how you felt in that area throughout this past year, because every day is different. And some days we wake up feeling awesome and other days we wake up feeling like crap. So we wouldn't want you to rate yourself just based on how you feel today, because that could be pretty biased. So thinking about like a, average kind of general rating for where you would put yourself in each of these categories based on this past year, you can go ahead and do that now. So what I like to do is I just like to write down 1 through 10 on my paper. I like to see the whole range of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I look at that underneath the category of health, and I just kind of tune in intuitively and go, where do I feel like I am at in my health journey? What has it been like this past year? And then I just circle the number that I feel the most drawn to and that I feel is the most kind of like intuitively aligned with how I've been the past year. So you're going to do that for health, for finances, for your romantic relationships, for career and work, for family, for fun, for friends, and for spirituality. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for all of those categories. And then what you're going to do once you've done that is you're going to take a look at those ratings. And that's even just something that's kind of illuminating in and of itself, is to really see those numbers on the page in front of you and go, that's pretty interesting. So any takeaways that you have just from that rating system alone is really great. And you can jot some of those things down if you want to. But really now the second step of this process is to pick the core 4 that you want to work on really improving and being hyper intentional about in 2025. And that doesn't mean that, you're not going to work on any of the other areas of your life, but it's really just selecting the 4 core areas where you want to be super intentional and really set some clear, specific goals or intentions within those categories. We're not going to pick all 8 because, as we know, when it comes to creating habits, that's the best way to set yourself up for failure, is to try to change every single area of your life and to set all kinds of ridiculous goals and have 10 new things that you need to do every single day. Destined to fail, not a good idea. So what you want to do is you want to look at your ratings, and it doesn't even necessarily, I would say for me personally, I don't make it so that it's like the 4 categories that I had the lowest ranking for, those have to be my core 4. I don't subscribe to that either, but I do think for myself, okay, what are the areas that I am the most excited about creating change in? And also, what are the areas that I already know, like I have enough momentum to keep going on a good path with them, even if I don't make it one of my core 4. And that means that can probably be set off to the side, right? So if I'm going really, really well in terms of the family category and I feel super solid in that, and I'm like, my relationship with my family is probably going to continue to grow and prosper, even if I don't set these like super hyper intentional goals for it this year, then I can feel confident setting that off to the side, and the fact that it doesn't need to be part of my core 4. But maybe with finances, I'm like, okay, my finances are okay, but if I don't set some really specific intentions for it, then it's probably going to decline or really just plateau or just not get me where I really, really want to be. And so, okay, finances has to be part of my core 4. So choose your core 4 intuitively, but also strategically, right? But it doesn't have to be the 4 categories that you had the lowest ranking for if it doesn't make the most sense for you in that way. So pick your core 4, and then under each of those 4 categories that you have now, you are going to set 1 to 2 clear intentions or goals. So 1 to 2 clear intentions or goals for each of those 4 categories. So let's say we have an example here from one of my clients. Her core 4 were health, finances, relationship, and spirituality. So underneath each of those 4 categories, she's going to set 1 to 2 specific intentions or goals. And here's what this can look like. So underneath health, example for me in 2024, health was also one of my core 4. And one of my big goals was that I was going to hire a personal trainer and I was going to start weightlifting. And that was something that I did in 2024, and I was super proud of myself for it. And I'm still weightlifting today. So that was like another indication to me of, wow, looking back on what I had set for myself with this core 4 last year and seeing how much it changed my life over the past year really motivated me to want to do this exercise again and to take it seriously. But this client, she also had health as part of her core 4. And for her, she wasn't going to hire a personal trainer, but the 2 specific goals or intentions that she put underneath health were getting 8 hours of sleep a night and going to bed at the same time every night, which was 10:30 p.m. And then she wanted to move her body 3 times a week. That was really how she wanted to tackle health in the new year head on. The second category that she had was finances. And the first thing that she wanted to do with her finances was she really wanted to create a budget. That was super important to her. She really wanted to get back on track with knowing what was happening with her finances, knowing where money was going, how much she had, and where she could allocate things. And so really just creating a budget and starting to kind of follow a financial plan of some sort. And the other thing was that she wanted to really meal plan every week and create a kind of set idea of what she was going to do for groceries and food, or potentially like a meal service, because food was one of the biggest places that she found that she was wasting money or overspending, or she was buying groceries but then never using them and going out all the time. So that ended up under finances for her, because it was one of the biggest places where she kind of had like a leak there in her finances. Finances for me in 2024 was also one of my core 4, and something that I really wanted to do was I wanted to set aside a specific amount of money that I was going to transfer into my index fund, into my investments every single month. I wanted to up that amount, and I wanted to be really consistent with it. So it depends. Again, like these can be anything, but I'm just trying to give you guys some examples to kind of like jog your memory and help you think of some things. Relationship was another one of my core 4 last year. And one of the things that I wanted to really work on doing was having more intentional date nights with Jaime, and also not being on our phones in bed at night, so that we could have more conversations and more quality time just on a daily basis together. So those are 2 little things that we can implement, but that make a big difference if you actually stick to them. Now, my client also had relationship as one of her core 4, but she's not currently in a relationship. She is wanting to get back out into the dating pool and put herself out there. So for her, she decided that she wanted to really try to follow this 2/3 rule. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but a lot of girls have talked about the 2/3 rule, which is where you have your hair, your makeup, and your outfit, 3 things. And you want to try most of the time in your life to have at least 2 out of the 3 done, because the idea behind this is not that you always need to look perfect, but it's that when you look good, you feel good. And when you have at least 2 out of the 3 done, or you feel confident in 2 of the 3 areas that day, you're more likely to make eye contact with people, to be more open, to have more conversations, to be looking up and around rather than down in your phone. And that makes you more open to connection and seeing people, noticing opportunities, having someone feel like you're open enough to come up to you and strike a conversation. So that was an interesting one that we put for her underneath relationship. And then we've got spirituality. This was another one of her core 4. And she decided that one of the things that she wanted to do in terms of spirituality was she wanted to really focus on meditating in the morning, even for just 2 to 3 minutes, and praying at night before bed. So just to give you guys some examples of what this can look like, it can truly be anything, but hopefully that's helpful when you sit down to rate your categories, choose your core 4, and then set those 1 to 2 intentions for each 4 categories. So the next section of our New Year's prep has to do with values. Now, depending on whether you are an entrepreneur or not, you can take this in a couple of different directions. These can be core values for your personal life. They can be core values for your brand. You can do both. You can make them the same. Whatever you want to do with this, I just think it's helpful at the start of a new year to get really clear on what it is that you value and what are the things that are really driving you behind your purpose, your work, how you want to lead yourself in your life. And so it's pretty simple to select some of your top values. I like to stick to like 3 to 5. I think anything more just gets a little bit messy. And then it's just not even clear, because you have so many, that how can they really be these pillars of like guiding your life if there's so many that you can't even count them on your hands, or you can't remember what they all are. So me personally, I've chosen and aligned with 3 specific values for my brand, but these are also values in my life. And if you need some ideas to help you go, okay, I need to see some like examples of some values so that the words can start to just like stimulate me and give me some inspiration, here's what you can do. You can go into ChatGPT and you can ask or type in, can you provide me with a list of the top 100 core values? Just the words, no explanation, to give me some ideas for what my core values might possibly be for my brand or my personal life, whatever it is that you want. And then ChatGPT will say, sure. And then it will spit out a list of 100 words, just simply the core values. You can scroll through, see some of those words, get some inspiration, and land yourself on 3 to 5 core values that really are going to be like the guiding pillars of your life, and likely already have been, but you might maybe just haven't put words to it yet, or you've done this exercise in the past. We teach core values inside From Burnt Out to Badass. And so if you are one of my OG students that's taken that course, like you've done a lot of core values work. But even then, it's fun to go back and to really reevaluate and look at this with fresh eyes for where you are in life right now and who you're being currently and where you're going and what you want to be guided by. And sometimes these things shift and change, or, we have a set of core values that are typically with us for our entire life, but they kind of move in a hierarchy where sometimes some of them are more important than others. So anyway, I've landed on my 3, and I'll share them with you again, just to provide some kind of insight and inspiration. So the 3 really core brand values that I've selected and that have been part of my life and my brand for a long time, but that is really just helping me anchoring them in deeper, knowing it and writing it down and really focusing on it, are integrity, freedom, and impact. These are 3 things that really guide me in my work, in my purpose, in my leadership, and in my life. I really strive to be a woman of integrity, to stick to my word, to be an example of someone who is moving through the world in a really like grounded, whole, complete way. That is what integrity means. It means that it's whole. It means that it's complete. And I think this is so important for leadership, that we have this sense of wholeness, that we have this sense of grounded maturity, of knowing who we are, of being comfortable with who we are, of honoring who we are, of being a woman of our word, of matching what we're selling to what we're delivering. So integrity is a huge, huge component for me and a big brand value. Freedom, obviously, is such a value for me in life and business. It's one of the main drivers for why I do what I do, not just freedom for myself and my family, but really freedom for my clients. Like, that's what makes me so excited, is this idea about helping women create wealth from the inside out that provides them a free and beautiful life, whatever that looks like to them. But helping people become more free is my deepest purpose and my biggest joy in life. And the third one, impact, is really wanting to change people's lives. That is the thing that brings me the most joy, is getting to see that my clients are actually making positive change. They're becoming new versions of themselves. They're creating more impact in their work. They're helping people with the things that they're putting out there in the world. They're becoming more free, more happy, more fulfilled, more rich in every sense of the word. So integrity, freedom, impact are the 3 that I've selected. And how I can kind of use these values to guide my decisions in business is really just turn them into questions, right? So if I want these to be major pillars for me in my life or in my business, I can simply ask myself when I'm going to make a decision, is this in integrity with who I say that I am and the promises that I've made to my clients or to myself? I can ask myself for freedom, like, does this bring me more freedom in my life? Or does this bring me more freedom in my business? Does this bring me closer to freedom? Does this help bring my clients closer to freedom? And then, does this create ripples of positive impact for my community, for my team, for my clients, and for the world? So you can turn them into questions to help guide your decision-making process throughout this year, but also throughout your life. So this is a super valuable exercise, not just to do once, but to really like hold this near and dear and be a guiding light for you in your life. The next step of the process is all about our word or theme of the year. I'm sure you've heard of people choosing a word of the year. I've done this so many years in the past with my community, and I've shared about it in lots of different ways of how you can choose your word. We've talked about it as it relates to masculine energy, feminine energy. What is your most dominant nature? Can you choose a word from the opposite one that you're wanting to integrate more of? There are so many ways to pick your word of the year, but lately, I've really been enjoying this idea of having a theme of the year. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know that going into 2024, my theme of the year was like soft CEO era, kind of choosing your era, declaring it, and having this overarching theme that really like trickles out and touches all these different areas of your life, because it becomes so clear to you how you want to move through the world in this next year when you have that general theme. As soon as I knew that I was declaring 2024 as my soft CEO era, it helped me really define, okay, what does that mean for my health? How do I want to treat myself? What does it mean for my calendar? Where do I need more white space? How is this going to change the way that I'm launching or selling or how I'm doing business? What does this mean for my relationship? I want more quality time. How am I going to fit that in? Like, it really just colors almost every area of your life. So it's a simple way for you to get really clear on what you're wanting and who you're deciding to become in the new year. And then that makes it abundantly clear a lot of the things that are going to need to shift and that you need to change in order to be in alignment with that. So rather than going through and setting all of these different goals and new habits that you want to implement and say, I'm going to walk X amount of steps and I'm going to drink this much water and I'm going to go to the gym X amount of times and I'm going to eat this kind of food and I'm going to have 2 dates with my friends every single month and then I'm going to do 1 date night every week with my partner. And instead of doing that and setting all of these different goals that you're going to lose track of, forget about, it's too much, it's too many new habits at once. I really like the idea of choosing a theme, because then you can just simply always come back to center and really ask yourself, am I in line with this word or this mantra or this theme that I've chosen for my year? Am I conducting myself in a way that matches with who I said that I wanted to be this year when I chose my word or my theme of the year? So that's kind of the general idea. So you want to think about some questions that you can start asking yourself to help you think about, what might my word or my theme of the year be? Is what do I want this entire next year to be driven by? What is the main focus or priority or guiding principles that I want to live by in this next year? What do I want the overall vibe of my life to look and feel like in this next year? How does this word or theme or mantra really ripple out and touch every category of my life? How does it inspire me to take action or get in alignment with it? And then you can basically use the theme or the vibe, the word, the mantra, whatever that you choose to color your year, and use that as the basis for curating your vision board on Pinterest. So I always like to start vision boarding on Pinterest because it helps you get new ideas, more ideas. And then Pinterest obviously has an intelligent algorithm that can see the kinds of things that you're pinning and choosing. And it'll say, do you want more like this? And then it'll show you more options. And it can just help your creativity flow rather than trying to search for specific images just with typing in words. So go on Pinterest, take your theme of the year, let it start to marinate and make you think about, okay, what is this? How does this touch every area of my life? If I'm thinking that it's soft CEO era, what does that mean for work? What does that mean for movement or activity or exercise? What does that mean for my calendar? What does that mean for my relationship? What does that mean for how I want to spend my time? What does that mean for my business? What does that mean for my faith? Just really exploring how this theme touches every area of your life and what that makes you think of and what the vibe and the energy is, and then go through Pinterest and find images that match that and start to make a little board for your vision board for New Year. If you want to take it even further off of Pinterest, then what you can do is just download the photos that you've saved to your vision board on Pinterest, download the photos, then drag and drop them, upload them into Canva, and then you can create a little iPhone background or a computer screensaver and just make a collage of all of your images that you found from Pinterest and set it as the screensaver on your iPhone or set it as the background on your computer. The Canva will have the sizes of templates that you can use. So just look for iPhone background and look for computer screensaver size or whatever. And then you'll find the right size of the blank canvas to work with. And then all you have to do is drag and drop the photos and overlap them with each other and fill the space and then save that image. And now you have a iPhone background or a computer screensaver or both. I did this last year and I loved it. It's still the background of my phone. I have to update it to my new one once I make it. I'm so excited. I am starting to build out my Pinterest vision board today, and then I eventually will start to put that into a little background for my phone and for my computer so that it's always top of mind all throughout the year, subconsciously, even if you're not thinking about it. Every time you look at your phone, the first thing that you see are those images, those visual representations of what you're wanting to create for yourself this year, whether it's actual words or images or a combination of both. You're really getting into your subconscious mind because there's so much repetition because of how much we pick up our phones. So that's a really great hack to put your vision board as the background on your phone. The next section that we're going to get into is all about magic and manifesting in the new year. So this is the time where we allow ourselves to really dream, and we get to list out all of the fun, exciting things that you would love to attract in the new year. Just let yourself flow. There is no limitation. I think I wrote down like 25 to 30 things. And if I kept going, I probably could have kept going and going and going. But it's fun to really just let yourself dream. Personal life stuff, business stuff, things for your faith, your health, your style, your friendships, your relationships, all the things. What is the magic that you want to attract in the new year? What are the experiences that you want to have, the trips that you want to go on, any money milestones or career things or fitness things or friendship things? Like, just let yourself dream and really list out anything that you would love to manifest in 2025. And this is actually probably a really good thing to do before you finalize your vision board so that you can find really specific images that match some of these concrete specific manifestations that you're calling in and add those to your vision board before it is finalized. And then here's a really cool hack of something that you can do with this. Once you have your list of the magic and all the things that you're manifesting in the new year, you can create a personalized visualization script using ChatGPT. So basically, all you have to do is type into ChatGPT, here are the things I'm manifesting in the new year. Can you create a personalized script for me that will help me visualize these things as if they're already real and already part of my life? And then paste in your long list of things that you're manifesting for the new year and press send on that to ChatGPT. And it will send you back a fully typed out guided visualization that you can read to yourself, you can record it and listen to it. So if it were me, this is what I'm planning to do with mine. Basically, open up your phone, go to the voice notes app, and read through the guided visualization that ChatGPT sent to you. And also feel free to use it as a template. You can take what ChatGPT wrote and have that as just a really amazing base. And if you want to make it even more personalized or even more in-depth or change it so that it feels really like you or that it's truly in your voice, you can obviously go in and edit some things and make some tweaks, and then open the voice note app on your phone and go through and record this guided visualization so that you have it in your own voice. Now, even just doing that is incredible because at any time you can go to your voice notes app and you can listen to the guided visualization in your own voice, which is going to help it go even deeper into your subconscious mind. But if you wanted to go even next level, and if you already own a business and you record audios for your clients or students, or you do guided meditations, then you'll already know how to do this. But you could just upload that voice recording file into a software like Audacity or GarageBand or BandLab, which most of them are free to use. You just upload the file, and then you could layer a music track over it, turn the volume a little bit down on the music, turn the volume a little bit up on your voice until you get the perfect level. And now you have a beautiful guided visualization with music behind it. Save it as an MP3, keep it in your music library on your phone, and listen to it as often as you want to literally program yourself to believe in this next level vision and all of the manifestations that you're calling forward for the new year. This is such a hack. And if you want to really, really get into your subconscious, you should probably listen to it right before you fall asleep at night, or right when you wake up in the morning and you're still kind of in that groggy, just waking up dream state. These are the 2 times a day when our subconscious mind is most susceptible to influence and change. And so if you listen to it at that time, it's more likely to seep in and become part of your belief system. And this is how we start to do mental rehearsal, right? We're rehearsing the vision and the feelings of everything that we want already being real. And that's how we create the circuitry in our brain that feels like it's already happening. happened. So we're experiencing a memory of the future, which seems counterintuitive. It seems impossible. How can you remember the future? But that's what you're doing when you're practicing mental rehearsal and using these guided visualizations is you're taking something that's not real yet, but you're ingraining it into your brain circuitry as if it has already happened. So it's a memory of the future. And when you have a memory of the future, you can create it as something real in your life in the present right now. So I highly, highly recommend trying this. See what ChatGPT spits out for you. Let me know if you guys do this. Send me a DM on Instagram if you end up trying it. And if you like the guided visualization that it gave you, and if you used this hack, because I definitely am going to. Now, moving on to the next section, which is something that I like to do with my partner. It's kind of like a partner goals thing. So if you have someone that you share your life with, whether it's a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, and you want to do this together, this is just something that Jaime and I also did last year and we really liked it. And just recently we reflected on a lot of the things that we had set out to do together, and we actually accomplished quite a lot of them. And we decided that we really loved the intentionality of it, and we kept this piece of paper on our fridge for the entire year. And so it was always there to remind us that this is what we had wanted to commit to, and this is where we wanted to head together as a team. And it really helped us. So we're definitely going to do this again this year. So thought I'd share it with you in case you want to use it. So basically, you're just going to have you and your partner each choose a goal or an intention under each of these categories. So there's going to be 2 goals or intentions per category. One comes from you and one comes from your partner, because that's kind of just what makes it like this teamwork activity. And these can be things that you do or that you work on together, or they can be things that you do separately, but that by doing them separately as individuals, it will ultimately make a better partnership, or it will help improve the relationship. So the categories are kind of similar to some of the categories that we talked about in Core 4. But the reason that this exercise is different is because it's really based around like the health of your relationship and you two becoming better and growing together and doing things that are going to improve the health of your relationship and also you as individuals so that your relationship can thrive. So the categories that we have are health, finances, relationship, travel, fun and leisure. And then if you have kids, you can have a category for like kids and family, because you might have some goals or intentions of things that you want to do with your kids or ways that you want to parent or certain goals that kind of fall underneath that category. So health, finances, relationship, travel, fun, leisure, kids, and family. In each of those categories, you set one goal or intention and your partner sets another. And again, these can be things that you decide that you're going to do together or that you're going to work on together. Or sometimes they can be like things that you do individually, but that by doing them individually, it helps grow the relationship and it makes you better as an individual, which makes the relationship better. So for example, under the category of health, like you could each set a personal goal of, I want to weightlift 3 times a week. And then your partner could say, okay, I want to swim more or play more soccer or whatever his or her goal is going to be. You could do it like that. And that way you're both becoming better individually to make the relationship better. Or you could set a together goal, like let's go on one long walk together each week. Or let's go, Jaime and I did 1 beach walk together per week because we both individually go on walks a lot and we live right across from the beach, but our schedules are different. And depending on who's working from home or if he's in the office and taking care of the dog, we often have to do those things separately. So we really wanted to commit to just like once a week, we want to walk on the beach together and not have our phones and really just be able to have conversation. So that was something that kind of fits under health, but it's a together goal in the sense that it also is helping our relationship thrive and get better. So anyway, that is kind of the idea, the concept around doing these partner goals with these categories. Jaime and I did this last year, and under each category, we also chose like an adjective or a word of how we wanted to feel. And that's why we were picking those goals, like that we wanted to choose something because it was going to make us feel more connected, or it was going to give us quality time, or Our health goals were going to make us feel strong, or the finance goals were going to make us feel resilient or prosperous. Like, we like to kind of pick a word to describe how we wanted to feel, because then when you get to the end of the year, you can look at those words as well and really reflect and think, okay, did we end the year feeling stronger, feeling more prosperous, feeling more connected, feeling like we spent more quality time? So we did that, and we wrote it down on a piece of paper, or we like typed it up and printed it out. And then we literally hung it on our fridge and had it on our fridge for the entire year. It's still there. It has yet to be replaced by the new one for the next year, but we will be doing this again because we really enjoyed it. Okay, and the final piece of New Year's planning that I want to share with you all and offer in this guided practice has to do with business planning. So this is for all of my business owners. This is just a really simple way that I like to get a bird's eye view of what the next year is going to look like and start to wrap my head around what I'm going to be doing in the next year, what I'm going to be selling, and starting to project some of those annual revenue goals and get a real sense for what's going to be going on in this next year. So I like to start by writing down all 12 months of the year. So I'll just take a big piece of paper, or I will take my remarkable digital notebook that I love, and I'll open up a new page in there, and I'll write down January to December. So there's a little section for each month. And then I'll go month by month and just note down anything that I know for sure is already going to be happening. It's already on the calendar. I know it's going to be happening that month. And these are things that might impact my business or my time capacity. So things like a big trip, if I know I'm going to be out of office at a certain time that month, if I have a speaking engagement lined up, if I have a retreat that I'm attending or hosting, things like that. Anything that's already in the calendar that you know is going to impact your energetic capacity or your time capacity that month, make sure you put it down underneath that month. And then go through and set out like a rough plan for what you will be selling each month in your business. So go January, February, March, and note down if you have specific programs that you're launching, or you have a certain time of year where you always sell X, like note that down. If you have a certain month of the year where you always start to promote and sell your retreat, like note that down. Kind of just going through and noting down all the things that you already know you're going to be selling and when you're going to be selling them. So I like to do this month by month, but also when my business and my product suite was a lot smaller, I would do this by quarter, because I didn't have 100 different things that I was selling. So it was really like I had one signature offer and I had some one-on-one coaching. And so because those were the only two things that I was really selling, it would be hard for me to go 12 months of the year and write down what I'm selling every single month. So really I functioned more in quarters, because I would sell the same thing every quarter. So I would have a launch every quarter of my signature offer. And then I would also sprinkle in some sales of my one-on-one coaching. So you kind of have to adapt to this to the size and the format of your business, but you get the general idea, which is just going through and looking at, what do I already know that I'm going to be selling? What do I already know that I'm going to be launching? And when is that going to be taking place, so that I can have a bird's eye view of what's happening. And then what you can start to see is like these blank spaces where there's openness, where there's availability for creativity or building out new things or working on a different project, or even just having rest time. And you know, like, okay, these are going to be more of my like chill months, and this month is going to be a little bit more full on. Or maybe when you see that you have a retreat or a speaking engagement or something really big during one month, you go, okay, I'm not going to launch my major program during that same month because it'll be too much for me. I'm actually going to move that over here. It just helps you be a little bit more strategic and have more forethought into what's happening in your year, rather than just every single month getting to the start of the month and going, oh my gosh, what should I sell? How am I going to make money? What's going on? Shit, I forgot I had this thing. Now I'm super busy. Like, we don't want to be playing catch up all the time and being reactive or responsive in our businesses. We want to be proactive. And so that's what this activity is really about. So going through and setting out that rough plan for what you're going to be selling each month or each quarter, penciling in your set launches or any set promotional pushes you know you're going to be doing. And then once you've done that, you can make an educated prediction of the revenue based on past sales performance that each of these launches or promotional periods is going to bring in. So if you've sold something before and you go, okay, normally X amount of people buy it at X price point, it usually brings in X amount of revenue for the business, you can now jot that down underneath that month. So now I can predict that in January, we're likely going to make somewhere around $10,000, $30,000, $100,000, whatever that's going to look like for your business. Now, if you sell the same thing or the same things all the time, kind of just on like an evergreen model, or everything is just passive and it's not these like start and stop like pushes or launches, that's fine. Basically, you're just going to estimate what that brings in for your business roughly on a monthly basis based on past performance. And then you can add all of that up to kind of see what your predicted quarterly revenue will be for the 4 quarters of the year. So if I know roughly what I might be making in January and February and in March, now I can look at, okay, in quarter 1, it's a pretty fair estimate to say that the business will be bringing in 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, whatever that looks like for your business. So now you have a rough estimate of what your quarterly income is going to be for all 4 quarters of the year. Now what you can do is you can account for some growth and you can account for some magic and you can expand those numbers a little bit, but allow the basis of fact and past sales performance to be the thing that informs your annual revenue goal for the year ahead. Now that you know all the things you already have planned to sell, what their past performance is, what they generally bring in terms of revenue, and you've added all that up and you've made a prediction, now you can say, and I might create some new stuff and I might sell more things, and I'm open to receiving unexpected abundance, and likely, things will pop up for me and new opportunities, and I can make money in different ways that I'm not thinking of right now. So I can expand this number. I can grow this number a little bit, but I'm basing my annual revenue goal somewhat in fact. We're not just pulling it out of our asses of going, I want this to be my, $1 million year, when last year was a $60,000 year, right? That's not an educated guess of where we're going. And we love an illogical, big goal moment. But I do think for your business, it's important to base these things on past performance and some level of fact and logic. And then we get to sprinkle in the magic and the growth and account for the illogical kind of expansion of things. And so you get to look at what that prediction number is and go, and if I were to grow and there were to be more people to buy my things than ever before, and maybe I'm planning to raise my prices a little bit, and also I might create something new and I might sell something that I've never sold before, and I might have a paid speaking opportunity, and I might have a paid brand collab or whatever. So I'm going to inflate this number a little bit. I'm going to grow it a little bit. And now this is my revenue goal for the year. That is a really beautiful way for you to set a goal that feels stretchy and exciting, but that is also based in reality, and it's something that you can realistically work towards. And we're still allowing ourselves to have open space within that 12-month period for the unexpected, for the new offers to potentially take shape, and for plans to change as they always do, right? So this is meant to be like a rough outline, a rough idea of your year, not a set in stone plan, but it's so helpful to have a basis of knowing roughly what you might probably be doing this year rather than going in completely blind. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed all of these different activities, ideas, ways to really set yourself up for success and magic in the new year. If you end up trying any of these processes, I'd love to know about it. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you guys. You can reach me at _Samantha Daily. And if you know someone in your life who probably would love to do these New Year's activities and really get into their dreams and themes for the next year, copy the link to this episode, send it to them in a text, let them know you were thinking of them, or send it to one of your besties or your sister or your mom or someone that you want to do some of these activities with. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Makeshift Happen Podcast, and on YouTube. We have all video episodes. If you guys love to watch your podcast rather than listen to them, make sure that you go and subscribe on YouTube. I love you guys, and I cannot wait to spend this next year together. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Bye.